What if an innocent child's words shattered years of secrecy, revealing a connection that changed lives forever? In the heart of Willow Creek, a quaint suburban neighborhood filled with charming homes and tree-lined streets, Amelia Bennett lived a life defined by quiet perseverance. As a single mother to 6-year-old Chloe, her days were a delicate balance of hard work and unwavering love. Amelia worked tirelessly at the local diner and spent her evenings tutoring high school students, always putting Chloe's happiness before her own. Her world revolved around bedtime stories, shared giggles, and promises of brighter days. On the other side of town, in an estate that seemed worlds apart, Nathaniel Ward basked in the glow of his corporate triumphs. The CEO of a global tech company, he was a man admired for his sharp intellect and financial prowess. Yet, behind the lavish walls of his mansion, Nathaniel lived in isolation, haunted by memories of a fractured family and a brother he had lost decades ago. His wealth could buy almost anything except solace. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when their lives collided. Chloe, full of curiosity and energy, tugged her mother's hand toward the park for their usual outing. The playground buzzed with laughter, and Amelia finally allowed herself a moment of rest as Chloe darted off to play. Nearby, Nathaniel sat on a bench, absorbed in his tablet, preparing for an upcoming conference. Chloe's laughter caught his attention. She skipped over to him, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "You have my daddy's laugh," she said, her voice filled with innocent certainty. The words struck Nathaniel like a bolt of lightning, leaving him frozen in place. Amelia, hurrying over to retrieve her daughter, felt a mix of embarrassment and intrigue. She apologized, yet couldn't shake the feeling that something unspoken lingered in the air. As Amelia led Chloe away, she couldn't help but glance back at the man who now stood motionless, his expression unreadable. Nathaniel, usually adept at compartmentalizing his emotions, found himself rooted to the spot, grappling with a peculiar mix of curiosity and unease. The child's words reverberated in his mind, stirring memories he had worked tirelessly to bury. Her laughter, light and unrestrained, reminded him of someone he hadn't thought about in years. For Amelia, the encounter felt oddly significant. Though brief, there was something in Nathaniel's demeanor and unspoken sadness that mirrored her own struggles. That evening, as she tucked Chloe into bed, her daughter's words echoed in her mind. "You have my daddy's laugh." It was a mystery Amelia had no answers for, but she dismissed it as the whimsical imagination of a child. Nathaniel, however, couldn't move past the incident. The familiarity of Chloe's voice and the uncanny resemblance of her mannerisms to his own younger self gnawed at him. The next morning, instead of focusing on his business ventures, he found himself searching for answers. Who was the woman with the kind eyes and the little girl who had unknowingly cracked open the walls of his carefully guarded life? Amelia's life resumed its rhythm, though her thoughts occasionally drifted to the stranger at the park. Meanwhile, Nathaniel, ever the strategist, instructed his assistant to discreetly investigate the pair. What he discovered left him reeling. Amelia Bennett was not just a struggling single mother. She had connections that reached uncomfortably close to his past. Her late husband, whom she rarely spoke of, bore a striking resemblance to Nathaniel's estranged brother, William Ward. Nathaniel's mind raced as he pieced together the fragments of the story. The possibility that Chloe could be his niece was both thrilling and terrifying. Years of guilt over his broken relationship with William surged to the surface. His instincts told him to reach out, to confront Amelia and unravel the mystery, but fear held him back. What if he was wrong? What if his sudden appearance only brought more pain to the lives of two people who had already endured so much? Nathaniel couldn't suppress the pull toward Amelia and Chloe, despite his cautious nature. Over the following days, he found himself visiting the park under the guise of casual jogs, hoping to cross paths with them again. His persistence paid off one sunny afternoon when he spotted Chloe playing near the swings while Amelia sat on a nearby bench, engrossed in a book. This time, Nathaniel hesitated but eventually gathered the courage to approach. Amelia looked up, startled to see the man from the previous encounter. Before she could speak, Nathaniel introduced himself, his tone polite but reserved. "I believe we met briefly the other day," he said, gesturing toward Chloe. "Your daughter's comment caught me off guard. I hope it didn't come across as rude when I froze up." Amelia, always cautious around strangers, smiled politely. "Not at all. Chloe has a vivid imagination. She sometimes says things that take even me by surprise. Nathaniel chuckled lightly, but inside, his thoughts swirled. This wasn't the moment to bring up his suspicions, so he redirected the conversation. "She seems like a bright and spirited child. You must be very proud." As they spoke, Chloe ran up, her face beaming. "You are the man from the park," she exclaimed. "Do you live nearby?" Nathaniel crouched to her level, his heart unexpectedly softening. "Not too far. Do you come here often?" Chloe nodded enthusiastically, but Amelia quickly intervened, subtly steering the conversation away. The interaction left Amelia unsettled. Nathaniel's presence, though polite, carried an air of mystery that made her uneasy. Yet, she couldn't deny the kindness he showed Chloe, who seemed to warm to him instantly. Over the next few weeks, they ran into each other more frequently at the park. What started as brief exchanges gradually turned into longer conversations, often centered around Chloe's infectious enthusiasm and boundless energy. Nathaniel's search for answers intensified, yet he couldn't bring himself to confront Amelia directly. Instead, he turned to private investigations, hiring a discreet professional to delve into her background. What he found left him stunned. Chloe's late father, Daniel Bennett, had an uncanny resemblance to Nathaniel's estranged brother, William. The possibility that Chloe could be his niece became more than a suspicion. It felt like a certainty. Nathaniel wrestled with guilt and hope, recalling the bitter fallout with his brother years ago. If Chloe truly was William's daughter, had his absence denied her the family she deserved? Meanwhile, Nathaniel continued to immerse himself in Amelia and Chloe's lives. His presence became a quiet but reassuring constant, and Amelia found herself reluctantly trusting him more. She appreciated his kindness and how naturally he connected with Chloe, who had taken to calling him Mr. Nate. Yet Amelia couldn't shake a sense of unease. Nathaniel seemed to carry a burden that he hadn't shared, his demeanor occasionally clouded by moments of introspection. For Chloe, Nathaniel's companionship was a source of joy. She adored the stories he shared and the way he listened to her every word. Her laughter filled the spaces in Nathaniel's heart he hadn't realized were empty, but the weight of his secret threatened to fracture the bond he had so carefully nurtured. On a crisp winter morning, Amelia and Chloe invited Nathaniel to join them for a small community event at the park. It was a simple gathering, with local families celebrating the season. As the three of them wandered through the stalls and games, Nathaniel observed the joy in Chloe's eyes and the quiet contentment on Amelia's face. The scene was idyllic, yet bittersweet. He couldn't ignore the truth any longer. If Chloe was his niece, they deserved to know. As Chloe played nearby, Nathaniel found himself alone with Amelia. Mustering his courage, he broached the subject delicately. "Amelia, I've come to care deeply for you and Chloe," he began, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. "But here is something I need to tell you, something that might change everything." Amelia froze, her instincts bracing for the worst. Nathaniel continued, revealing the story of his estranged brother, William, and his growing belief that Chloe was his niece. As the words spilled out, Amelia's face shifted from confusion to shock, then disbelief. "Are you saying Chloe might be your family?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Nathaniel nodded, his heart heavy yet hopeful. "I am not certain, but if here is even a chance, I needed you to know. I only want to do what's right for Chloe and for you." For Nathaniel, these moments were a window into a life he hadn't known he craved. Each interaction with Chloe brought him closer to the truth he was too afraid to confront directly. He observed her mannerisms, her expressions, and even her laughter, each one echoing faint memories of his brother. Meanwhile, Amelia began to let her guard down, drawn to Nathaniel's genuine interest in her daughter's stories and achievements. One day, as the autumn leaves fell around them, Nathaniel offered to treat Chloe to ice cream. Amelia hesitated but eventually agreed, sensing no ill intentions. As they sat outside the small cafe, Nathaniel found himself laughing more freely than he had in years. Chloe's unfiltered joy was contagious, and Amelia's soft smile hinted at a rare moment of relaxation. For the first time, Nathaniel began to feel a flicker of hope. Perhaps this connection, however unexpected, was meant to be. Amelia's world seemed to tilt as Nathaniel's revelation sank in. The idea that Chloe could be connected to a family she knew nothing about left her grappling with a storm of emotions. Her instinct to protect her daughter clashed with a growing curiosity about Nathaniel's claims. "Why now?" she finally asked, her voice trembling. Why would you look into our lives like this?" Nathaniel, aware of how fragile the moment was, responded with calm sincerity. "It wasn't my intention to intrude. When Chloe spoke to me that day, something clicked. The more time I spent with her, the more I saw pieces of my brother in her, the way she smiles, her laugh, even her curiosity. I had to understand if this connection was real." Amelia's thoughts swirled with doubt and apprehension. Could Nathaniel's story truly explain the inexplicable similarities she had noticed in Chloe over the years? Despite her initial anger, part of her couldn't dismiss the possibility that he was telling the truth. As Chloe returned, oblivious to the tension, Amelia held her close, unsure of what their next step would be. Nathaniel suggested a DNA test to confirm his suspicions, but Amelia hesitated. The idea of reopening old wounds and exposing Chloe to potential heartache felt overwhelming. Yet, Nathaniel's earnestness and the undeniable connection Chloe seemed to have with him swayed her decision. "If this is the truth," she said, her voice firm yet cautious, "then I want to know. But this has to be about Chloe, not us." The next few days were fraught with anxiety as they awaited the results. Amelia couldn't help but replay the past, in her mind her late husband's warmth and laughter, and the subtle but striking resemblance Chloe bore to Nathaniel. Memories of her own struggles as a widow resurfaced, mixing with the hope that Chloe might finally gain a sense of family she had long been without. Nathaniel, too, found himself reflecting on the years he had spent isolated, haunted by the rift with his brother. The possibility of reconnecting with a piece of his lost family filled him with equal parts dread and hope. He spent hours reviewing the decision to reach out, preparing himself for any outcome while trying to support Amelia without overwhelming her. The day the results arrived, Nathaniel and Amelia met at a small cafe. The envelope lay between them on the table, a symbol of the answers they both sought yet feared. Chloe was at school, blissfully unaware of the gravity of what was about to unfold. Amelia's hands trembled as she reached for the envelope, but Nathaniel placed a reassuring hand over hers. "No matter what's inside, this doesn't change how much Chloe means to either of us," he said quietly. Amelia nodded, taking a deep breath before opening the envelope. Her eyes scanned the document, widening as she read the confirmation. Chloe was indeed Nathaniel's niece. A wave of emotion overcame relief, shock, and the weight of what this revelation would mean for Chloe. Nathaniel leaned forward, his own breath catching as he saw the words that tied Chloe to his family. "She's William's daughter," he murmured, his voice breaking. Tears welled in Amelia's eyes. I never imagined that Chloe had family out there, especially someone who cared this much." The realization was overwhelming, yet a flicker of hope ignited within her. For years, she had shouldered the burden of raising Chloe alone. Now, there was someone else who wanted to share that responsibility, not out of obligation, but out of love. Over the next few hours, Amelia and Nathaniel discussed the implications of the discovery. Amelia expressed her fears about Chloe's reaction, worried that introducing this newfound family connection might confuse or unsettle her. Nathaniel, however, reassured her, "We'll take this one step at a time. She doesn't need to know everything at once. Let's build this relationship gradually." For Nathaniel, the confirmation brought a renewed sense of purpose. He had spent so many years drowning in regret over his estrangement from William, and now he saw an opportunity for redemption. Through Chloe, he could honor his brother's memory and ensure that the mistakes of the past wouldn't repeat themselves. He promised Amelia that he would support her and Chloe in whatever way they needed, financially, emotionally, and as a steady presence in their lives. Later that evening, as Amelia tucked Chloe into bed, she marveled at how much had changed in such a short time. Watching her daughter's peaceful face, she whispered a silent prayer of gratitude for the strength that had carried them this far and the hope that now lay ahead. Meanwhile, Nathaniel returned to his sprawling estate, feeling for the first time that its emptiness might soon be filled, not just with Chloe's laughter, but with the family he never thought he'd have. In the weeks that followed, Nathaniel took careful steps to integrate himself into Chloe's life without overwhelming her. He joined Amelia and Chloe for their usual park outings, this time bringing small surprises, a book Chloe had been eyeing, or a homemade picnic. The little girl's bond with Nathaniel deepened naturally, her trust in him growing with every shared laugh and story. To Chloe, he became a kind and dependable figure, one who made her feel special in a way she couldn't quite explain. Amelia watched these interactions with cautious optimism. She was still adjusting to the idea of sharing her daughter's world with someone else, but Nathaniel's sincerity was undeniable. He never overstepped his bounds, always seeking her input on how to approach Chloe. It was this mutual respect that began to dissolve the walls Amelia had built over the years. Slowly, she allowed herself to see Nathaniel not just as Chloe's uncle, but as someone who might truly care for both of them. Nathaniel also began opening up to Amelia about his strained relationship with William. Over quiet conversations, he revealed how they had grown apart, his relentless ambition clashing with William's more laid-back nature. He spoke of the guilt he carried after their last argument, and how he had avoided reconciling, a decision that haunted him after William's untimely death. Amelia listened intently, her own experiences with loss and resilience, allowing her to empathize with Nathaniel's pain. "You are trying to make things right now," she told him gently one evening. "That's what matters." Her words stayed with Nathaniel, affirming his resolve to be the family Chloe deserved. With Amelia's consent, Nathaniel introduced Chloe to his world gradually. He brought her to his estate, where she marveled at the sprawling gardens and the grand piano in the living room. Nathaniel played a few notes for her, his rusty skills eliciting a giggle from Chloe. The sound filled the once silent house, marking the beginning of a transformation Nathaniel had long yearned for. As Nathaniel and Chloe's bond strengthened, Amelia began to see a shift in her daughter. Chloe's laughter seemed lighter, her curiosity boundless, as she explored the new experiences Nathaniel introduced her to. One afternoon, he surprised them with tickets to a children's science exhibit, knowing how much Chloe loved learning about space and planets. Watching her excitement as she darted from one display to another, Nathaniel felt a deep sense of fulfillment, as though he was finally contributing to something meaningful. Amelia, too, found herself softening toward Nathaniel. His consistent presence and thoughtful gestures slowly eroded the doubts she had initially harbored. He respected her boundaries and never tried to overstep his role, always ensuring that her comfort came first. In him, she saw not just a man making amends for his past, but someone who genuinely cared about her and Chloe's future. Back at Nathaniel's estate, small but significant changes began to take place. Chloe's drawings adorned the once empty walls, and the quiet halls echoed with her laughter. For the first time in years, Nathaniel's home felt less like a museum and more like a place where a family could grow. However, not all adjustments came easily. Amelia still worried about how this newfound connection might impact Chloe in the long term. "What happens if you are no longer around?" she asked Nathaniel one evening, her voice tinged with vulnerability. Nathaniel looked at her with unwavering resolve. "I'll always be here for both of you," he assured her. "This isn't just about making up for lost time. It's about building something real, something lasting." Nathaniel's words reassured Amelia, but she couldn't ignore the lingering fears of what the future might hold. To ease her concerns, Nathaniel suggested they create a plan together for Chloe's care and well-being, ensuring that both Amelia's wishes and Chloe's needs were prioritized. This collaborative effort further cemented the trust between them. Meanwhile, Chloe's school held a winter recital, and Nathaniel insisted on attending. As he sat beside Amelia in the crowded auditorium, pride swelled in his chest as Chloe confidently performed on stage. When she looked out at the audience and spotted them both, her smile lit up the room. It was a moment that encapsulated everything they had worked toward, a glimpse of the family they were becoming. As the snow fell softly over the town, Amelia, Nathaniel, and Chloe found themselves settling into a rhythm that felt more like a family than any of them had anticipated. For Amelia, the transformation was bittersweet. She had spent years shouldering every responsibility alone, carving out a life for Chloe with sheer determination. To now share that burden with someone as committed as Nathaniel was both a relief and an adjustment. Nathaniel, on the other hand, was finally at peace with the choices he had made. He had spent years chasing material success, believing it would fill the void left by his fractured family and his brother's absence. Yet, in the laughter of a 6-year-old girl and the warmth of her mother's smile, he discovered a fulfillment no amount of wealth had ever provided. His sprawling mansion, once a monument to his loneliness, was now a haven of shared meals, Chloe's giggles, and Amelia's quiet strength. As part of his effort to deepen their connection, Nathaniel took Chloe to visit the local library, a place her late father had often taken her as a toddler. Watching her eyes light up as she darted between the shelves, Nathaniel felt a profound sense of pride and responsibility. He remembered his own childhood visits to the library with William, a shared love of stories that had once bonded them. It was moments like these that made him feel as though he were not only building a relationship with Chloe, but also honoring his brother's memory. Meanwhile, Amelia watched their bond deepen with a mixture of gratitude and trepidation. Though Nathaniel had proven his sincerity time and again, she couldn't help but worry about how this newfound connection would impact Chloe as she grew older. Yet, as she saw the joy in her daughter's eyes and the unwavering commitment in Nathaniel's actions, her doubts began to fade. The turning point came when Nathaniel proposed a project that combined their strengths and experiences. Inspired by the struggles Amelia had shared and the challenges he had seen Chloe overcome, he suggested they start a foundation in William's honor. The foundation would focus on supporting single parents and their children, offering financial aid, educational resources, and mentorship opportunities. At first, Amelia was hesitant. "Do you really think we can make a difference?" she asked one evening as they sat together by the fireplace, Chloe fast asleep upstairs. Nathaniel looked at her with unwavering confidence. "I know we can. We've seen what resilience looks like firsthand, and we know what it takes to create opportunities where none seem to exist." The idea of the foundation became a shared mission, giving Amelia and Nathaniel a sense of purpose that extended beyond their personal lives. They spent weeks planning, consulting experts, and connecting with local community leaders. Chloe, too, played a role in the project, contributing her childlike enthusiasm and helping to pick out the foundation's name, the William Ward Legacy. Launching the foundation was a monumental task, but it brought the three of them closer together. At the opening ceremony, Amelia stood on stage beside Nathaniel, addressing a crowd of supporters and families. As she spoke about her journey as a single mother and the inspiration behind the foundation, her voice trembled with emotion. "This isn't just about honoring a man who meant the world to us. It's about giving every parent and child a chance to thrive, no matter their circumstances." Nathaniel took her hand as the audience erupted into applause, and for the first time in years, Amelia felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She wasn't alone anymore. Together, they had created something that would not only help others but also strengthen their own bond as a family. Months after the foundation's launch, its impact became evident. Families across the town began to benefit from its programs, finding hope and stability where there had once been despair. Amelia took an active role in managing day-to-day operations, ensuring every initiative reflected the empathy and resilience that had guided her own life. She became a pillar of strength for other single parents, her story inspiring countless individuals to persevere through their own hardships. Nathaniel, for his part, used his business acumen and connections to secure funding and resources for the foundation. Watching the organization grow gave him a sense of fulfillment that no corporate venture ever had. It wasn't just about honoring William's memory anymore, it was about creating a legacy for Chloe and countless other children who needed a chance to succeed. At home, the changes were just as profound. Chloe, now thriving in school, often spoke about her Uncle Nate with pride to her classmates and teachers. She loved sharing stories of their adventures, from visiting the planetarium to exploring Nathaniel's garden, where he had created a small space just for her, a swing set surrounded by vibrant flowers she had picked out herself. One evening, as the three of them sat down for dinner, Chloe looked up at Amelia and Nathaniel, her face thoughtful. "Uncle Nate, do you think my daddy would be happy to see us all together?" she asked innocently. Nathaniel's heart ached at her words, but he smiled gently. "I think he'd be very proud of you, Chloe, and I think he'd be happy knowing you are surrounded by so much love." Amelia's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she placed a hand on Nathaniel's. It was in moments like this that she realized how much her life had transformed. What had once been a journey of survival had become one of shared joy and hope. As the seasons changed, so did the lives of the small family they had formed. Nathaniel, once a man consumed by regret and ambition, found solace in the simple joys of family life. His once empty mansion became a vibrant home, filled with the laughter of a child and the warmth of shared memories. For Amelia, the burden of raising Chloe alone had lifted, replaced by a partnership rooted in trust, mutual respect, and a shared vision for the future. The foundation's success drew attention beyond their town, leading to collaborations with other communities and organizations. Amelia often traveled to speak at events, sharing her journey and the foundation's mission. Nathaniel supported her every step of the way, his quiet encouragement giving her the strength to face crowds and share the most vulnerable parts of her story. On a bright spring morning, as they gathered in the park where it had all begun, Amelia reflected on how far they had come. Chloe played happily nearby, her laughter echoing through the air. Nathaniel stood beside her, his expression one of quiet contentment. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" he said, his voice filled with gratitude. Amelia smiled, her heart full. "We have, and I couldn't have done it without you." In the months and years to come, their bond only grew stronger. Nathaniel officially became Chloe's legal guardian alongside Amelia, cementing his place in her life not just as an uncle but as family. The three of them celebrated milestones together, from Chloe's first science fair win to the expansion of their foundation into a national initiative. As the sun set over the park that day, Amelia and Nathaniel watched Chloe chase fireflies, her laughter filling the air. Their journey had been anything but easy, but it had brought them together in ways they never imagined. Together, they had not only built a family but created a legacy of love, resilience, and hope.